The Riddler is a genius and not only one of Batman's greatest villains, but one of Batman's smartest, undoubtedly. The Riddler, the perfect mind game villain. He's obsessed with creating riddles and challenging Batman, trying to outsmart him and prove that he is the greater of the two of them, with superior intellect. Outsmart him and best him by creating these riddles that Batman can't figure out. However, he seems to be at the edge of going insane or crazy because of just how obsessed he is with making these riddles to go up against Batman. The Riddler forces himself upon Batman in a way, making Batman play this game with him, making him play this mind game and attacking Batman from a mental perspective. He might not be the greatest physical threat, but he definitely is a very, and I mean very, dangerous mental threat to almost anyone. He seems to be extremely determined and dedicated to this goal of just proving to Batman that he's the superior one of the two and he is smarter than him. I just want to mention some of my favorite versions of the character, like the Riddler from the Lego Batman games, the Arkham games, Batman the Animated Series, and the Riddler from the DC animated film Hush 2019. I want to point out, even in the Lego Batman games, the Riddler is clearly portrayed to have great intelligence because, as we see in Lego Batman the video game, he's very sneaky and trying to come up with plans to outsmart Batman. Even if these plans aren't successful, he's shown to still be trying to challenge Batman, which shows that he still believes that he thinks he's smarter than Batman. The Riddler is always trying to play this game with Batman. The Riddler can be silly and unserious at times, but other times he can also be the exact opposite and not be playful at all and be completely serious. He's always being annoying to Batman in a way, but at the same time, he also is so obsessed at proving that he's smarter than Batman that when Batman does something that he thought he wouldn't be able to do or figures out one of his riddles or outsmarts Riddler in a way, it annoys the Riddler because this goes against exactly what he's trying to prove. This goes against what he believes. The way he chooses to phrase stuff shows how he's trying to get to Batman mentally, how it's his goal to attack Batman mentally. The thing about the Riddler is he's almost completely just a mental threat because, I mean, there's a lot of villains that pose a mental threat, but at the same time, a very great physical threat. But the Riddler, he's pretty much completely just a mental threat, not a physical threat to Batman at all. The Riddler likes to always be hidden in a way and sneaky, always in the background, but he can still be right there while not showing himself. As we see in the Arkham games, he still is contacting and engaging with Batman, but he's not there in person. He's not really there with him, and he's the one controlling all their interactions. He thinks that he's smarter than Batman, so this of course makes sense that he believes and chooses to want to have control over all the interactions they have. It allows him to keep playing this game with Batman. Having more control lets him do what he wants and gives him a better chance of being able to implement what he's trying to and for it to work. He's not a main character in the Arkham games, but he is definitely one of the best villains in them. He's often seen by fans as annoying, especially in the Arkham games. But when you really think about it, yeah, maybe he can come off as annoying, but what he's doing is actually very smart, because trying to be annoying and get to Batman and on his nerves that way is a very sneaky but also good strategy for him to use, since it's unusual and also very attention grabbing, which makes Batman not be able to focus as well on the things Riddler's trying to beat him with. I love the idea of how Riddler is pretty much not a physical threat at all, but just because of how smart he is, he's able to still be such a big threat. It shows that he really is a great villain, since he's able to use that one aspect so effectively to be such a dangerous threat and enemy towards Batman. The fact that specifically in Arkham Knight, he had so many riddles all over the place for Batman to find, and that it gave him so much satisfaction and so much enjoyment putting Batman through all of this also shows just how evil he is, which is a very important aspect for a villain, because I'd argue most of the time a villain being more evil is gonna also make them more likely to be a better villain. He is not one of Batman's scariest villains. Even his appearance is not very frightening or intimidating. But somebody so obsessed with this goal, and someone who only seems to care about themselves so much, is definitely extremely dangerous and someone you have to worry about. Batman has called him a narcissist, and there are definitely many arguments to say that he is. But the fact that he only cares about himself and not of Batman's well-being at all leads him to take things very far to achieve his goal. The fact that he acts so annoying and implements everything the way he does makes him very challenging for Batman to be able to beat. But Batman, of course, is the world's greatest detective and extremely intelligent himself. The thing about the Riddler is he has too much of an ego, and he overestimates himself and how smart he really is, making him believe in himself and his abilities too much, not realizing how great and how much of a challenge Batman himself really is, leads Riddler to losing. You could also argue he underestimates Batman. When Batman happens to beat him, he can't stand it. It gets to him so much. He can't handle it. He snaps. He can't believe that he didn't win. He can't believe that he didn't outsmart Batman just like he planned to do. It doesn't come back to him in a way and make him realize that he was the one who made a mistake. But you could argue his self-belief and overconfidence in himself is also one of his greatest strengths for being such a mental threat, since this leads him into having less weaknesses or doubting himself. So Riddler never really tends to give up. Riddler is so fixated on what he wants and his interests, what he's trying to achieve, that he always takes it too far, and at the end of the day, it almost always goes against him. It shows that he's not perfect himself, and that he does not realize this. The Riddler is great at analyzing things, making puzzles, but I would say that he doesn't have the best self-awareness and could definitely improve in this aspect of overall intelligence. If he was someone who was more willing to look at himself and realize that he's not perfect, realize that he's not as good as he thinks he is, and he can make mistakes just like everyone else, taking this into account and trying to improve and learn to become better, this would help him so much, make him an even more of a greater challenge and threat to Batman. But the problem is, with the Riddler's current personality traits and the way he currently thinks, he's never going to be open or consider looking at himself and trying to improve in these certain aspects. However, the Riddler, he can't stop sending riddles. He can't stop making these puzzles for Batman. So he always leaves them behind for Batman, which gives him a greater risk to losing to Batman, and Batman being able to take advantage of this weakness, obsession that the Riddler has, using it against him, even though at the same time it's one of Riddler's greatest strengths, it is also one of his greatest weaknesses. It's great to be very into something and be focused on it, but the Riddler takes this to the extreme, letting it become something that ends up stopping him from accomplishing what he's really trying to do. This also, in a way, shows that Batman, he actually is the greater of the two and superior because Batman's able to self-reflect, change, and improve himself, admit to his weaknesses, problems, and mistakes, learn, become better, accept that he's not perfect, but still have so much self-belief, so much confidence, while also having so many other great traits and strengths in his favor. He's overall much more well-rounded than the Riddler. Riddler is too arrogant, and Batman understands the Riddler in the way he is, so he's able to outsmart him and outmaneuver him, know how to deal with him. The reason the Riddler is such a great mind game villain is how fixated he gets and obsessed, being so intelligent, only caring about himself, having truly evil intentions. The fact that he gets enjoyment and loves playing this game with Batman, having the control, trying to toy with Batman. He's his own self-destruction. One thing he doesn't realize is that Batman, he doesn't share the exact same way of thinking in certain aspects of the Riddler, and if Riddler took this more into account or understood this better, he would realize his actions and plans, the way he has things set up, aren't as good as he believes as of now. Someone with borderline personality disorder and with the current mindset of the Riddler will probably never realize this though. He has mastered his tool though. He has mastered his riddles, compared to if any other Batman villain tried to do or use riddles the way the Riddler does, they would probably not be able to be as successful. So the Riddler definitely deserves a lot of credit for that. How sneaky he is definitely deserves a lot more consideration and should be recognized a lot more as well. If he was going up against someone other than Batman, he'd probably be able to break them mentally. So he is as good as a mind game villain and plays as good as a mind game as any other villain could. And I believe the Riddler is the perfect mind game villain. I just wish that he was used more as a main character in the Arkham games, or there was one game that he was used more in the main story, but still, the way he was used for what he was used in all the Arkham games, I believe they did a very good job with, especially in Arkham Knight, and they still made him feel extremely sneaky and in control in a position of power, which I love that they did. It made the game, the adventure of playing through it in a way, made it feel so much more uncertain, exciting, and unexpected. The Riddler's unusual ways, unusual strengths, and unusual tendencies and weaknesses help him be an even greater mind game and mental threat, but also an even greater and more interesting both villain and character. I'd argue he's in the 3 best Batman villains, with Joker and Scarecrow in the top 3 as well, right next to him. Let me know in the comments, do you think that the Riddler is Batman's smartest villain? Do you think that the Riddler is the perfect mind game villain? What's your favorite version of the Riddler? And do you think that he's one of the best villains in the Arkham games? Remember to subscribe and to turn on notifications. I really hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in another Cosmic Chaos video. Bye!